Robert Heinlein once said, "You can have peace or you can have freedom. Don't ever count on having both at the same time." Keep this in mind as we discuss today the possibility of China invading Taiwan and what does it mean for the geopolitical landscape. My name is Dr. David Oualaalou.
And my name is Dr. Ross Stewart.
And you are watching Geopolitics in Conflict.
David, have you noticed in the news all the action that's going on between the Chinese Communist Party and Taiwan?
That's correct.
What do you make of that?
It's a lot of tensions going on in that part of the world. That has been for so long. I mean, Taiwan was getting used to China's conducting maneuvers, military stuff, but not the scale at this time around. This is something different. Even the Taiwanese people are saying this is different.
Oh boy, is it ever.
Especially what took place after Hong Kong. So
the Taiwanese have to take this seriously because they saw essentially the social structure and the economic structure and the political structure in Hong Kong change, and not for the better.
That's for sure. But before we proceed, Ross, how about if we provide you with a historical snapshot about Taiwan and China.
Let's do it.
So, basically, we're not going to take too much time on this, except to mention that the whole beginning of this Taiwan-China tensions goes back to 1912, when how do you pronounce that in Mandarin? The Qing dynasty.
The Qing dynasty.
The Qin dynasty. I always have a hard time pronouncing that. So the Qin dynasty
came to an end.
Came to an end after 2,000 years of imperial ruling.
Right.
And what happened after that? The country went into some divisions between the communists and the nationalists at the time, till about 1927, when the communists were able to some sort of conduct. It becomes basically a civil war in China. That's basically what happened. Then the nationalists were kicked out.
They actually lost to Chairman Mao Zedong. This was in the 50s, after World War II. And China was in complete uproar, and fights were breaking out in all the provinces, really. Mm-hmm. And Mao Zedong organized enough resistance to oust Chiang Kai-shek. And the Chiang Kai-shek government then moved to Taiwan.
And set up Taipei.
And set up Taipei as the capital. And by the way, took a lot of the national treasures with him.
Wow.
We got to see it all.
Wow. Interesting. So, well, it was so after World War II, that's where the Taiwanese government was operating independently from China. However, just fast forward to 1971. In 1971, when the United Nations recognized the CCP, the China's Communist Party, but not the ROC, the Republic of China, which is in Taiwan. And right there, it became clear that to China is one system, one country, two systems. And this is basically where, of course, back in 1978, when Jimmy Carter officially declared U.S. policy towards that particular issue by recognizing Beijing as the sovereign state. So basically, but he did not wanted to cut off some ties with Taiwan, which was on an unofficial capacity.
Right, unofficial, official, unofficial capacity.
Yeah, which basically has to do with arms. So this is just a historical snapshot to provide you where China-Taiwan were back then and where it is today. Well, today, of course, with the tensions going on, things have been escalating far beyond.
So there's some real questions here, such as, how come now? what does the Chinese Communist Party have at stake? They've got a lot at risk. They're going to lose face if they don't do something appropriate. But why now?
It is a good question, Ross, and yeah, because the dynamics are changing in that part of the world, given the rise of China on the global stage, given the decline of the United States, given the tensions between the U.S. and Russia, and of course U.S. and China, and given also the tariffs that the United States has imposed on China. So all those dynamics gives rise to certain key questions as to, is China going to invade Taiwan? No. Personally, and this is my personal opinion, I do not see the military aspects of it. Even though the, what's his name, Davidson, he's the high-ranking admiral or officer
in the Pacific Fleet.
In the Pacific Fleet,
Right.
did mention in a briefing, and I listened to it at the Pentagon, that there is a possibility that China might invade within 6 years. So, I mean, he could, I don't know. I don't know if he could be right or not, because he's a military guy. I'm a former military myself. I just do not see the military aspects to it. And the reason being, Ross, is that the terrain, how things are, China will have to be dealing with a host of issues. For example, there's the 160-kilometer distance between the mainland and Taiwan.
So it has to be an amphibious attack, coordinated attack, air, land, and sea.
Which China is not good at that, because that amphibious maneuvers requires a precise coordination between land, air, and sea. And China has never been involved in that. The only conflict that China was involved in was against Vietnam.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Long time ago. This is kind of different. Yeah. Second thing, what you need to understand about this is that Taiwan has been purchasing weapons from the United States since 2007 of about
$25 billion worth.
Of weapons.
They've got some pretty ferocious weapons.
They did. And as a matter of fact, recently, the United States is willing to now sell them the submarines.
Oh, that's right.
About 8 of them. You know, in comparison to China, that's not much. Because when you look at how much China has about over 450 or 2,000 fighter jets, or 4,000 fighter jets. Taiwan has about, what, like 54?
Some pittance.
Very small. Yeah, the bottom line is there is no comparison, there is no match. However, the danger into the military adventure of China towards Taiwan will be faced in the water first. So China will not be able to land.
1.5 million people in the Taiwan military. And if they've got a narrow strip of land that they've got to land in, that makes the Republic of China, it makes the Chinese Communist Party soldiers sitting ducks.
Exactly, and that's what's going to be. And this is where also Taiwan has purchased some missiles from the U.S., which they could attack the
Three Gorges Dam.
Yeah,
and as a matter of fact, the president of Taiwan said, "We've got it targeted. Kiss it goodbye if you attack us."
Wow, and that would be
and the economic impact of losing the Three Gorges Dam is enormous to China.
So this is why I believe personally, and this is my opinion, that China will think twice about the military aspect. Yes, they do have the manpower. Yes, they do have the equipment, but sometimes the strategy, because they are not good at amphibious warfare, they have not done this before. So
another consideration is they have to, in public, assassinate essentially their own people, because they are Han Chinese.
That's correct.
And Xi Jinping says, we are Han.
Yeah, and he's not, I don't believe China will want to be a peer, because if China invades Taiwan, it's going to be appearing on the global stage as a paper tiger. And that's the last thing China wants, because of where it is currently on a global level with the rise economically, technologically, and even in space. So.
Oh, the space thing is really important.
Yeah. So,
a consideration here is that Mao Zedong was going to mount an attack on Taiwan in somewhere in the late 50s. And what he faced was he had mounting insurrections all over China. And he had said, we're going for Taiwan anyway because it's ours. And the United States said, yeah, go ahead, see what happens. We will nuke you.
Wow.
And Chairman Mao said, another time. But that doesn't mean that Xi Jinping, who was one of his students, serious students, didn't carry that value with him into 2021.
But that's why there's that saying in China, Mao was one, Deng was wealth, and Qi strength. So well, the idea of this invasion per se is going to change the geopolitical landscape not only in the region but also on a global level. And I do not think Taiwan realized that sometimes the West might not come to its aid because of the complications that's going to result from that intervention.
Exactly. Let me quote something from your book. Volatile State, Iran in the Nuclear Age, by David Oualaalou. To bargain with China disadvantages the United States by permitting China and others to perceive the irrelevance of the United States. A possibility designed to provide the benefits of accommodation while reducing its risks is a grand bargain in which the United States ends its commitment to defend Taiwan, and in turn, China peacefully resolves its maritime disputes in the South China and East China Seas, and officially accepts the United States' long-term military security role in East Asia. Embarking on this strategy sends a message to neighboring countries, Japan, Brunei, the Philippines, Taiwan, and Malaysia and Vietnam, that the United States' days of influence over the Pacific are numbered.
Yeah, that's how I see it, Ross. And
you wrote this in 2017?
16 when I was doing the research, and I wrote it for about 2 years till about 2018. And I saw the development at that time, how things moving forward. And it convinced me that, in the case of Taiwan, if China invades Taiwan and the United States gets involved, that conflict is going to change the landscape, the geopolitical landscape there, but also will not put the U.S. in a position of strength, because the United States will not be able to deal with two fronts, because that particular conflict will trigger Japan, will trigger Korea, will trigger Australia, will trigger Russia, will trigger Vietnam, Philippines, you name it.
Right.
So it's going to become a wider war. And this is why I believe China will think twice about engaging.
Another no-win conflict.
That's correct. And this is why China is thinking, but China's patience is running out. Because here is the thing. Here's the thing I want you to understand. If Taiwan declares independence, that's going to become a stain on the Chinese legitimacy. And that Beijing will have nothing to do with it. They're not going to allow that.
You talk about lose face?
Yeah.
More than that, Xi Jinping is going to get a real black mark on his name.
Yeah.
He lost Taiwan on his watch.
That's correct. And this is why I believe China will think twice about the military aspect, but they will consider the other avenues like the economic, which they are doing to a degree. Because here's the thing. They can choke Taiwan economically. If
right.
Taiwan wants.
That's the real power that they've got.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Because Taiwan and China is Taiwan's major trading partner.
That's correct. So if China controls all the ships coming into there, that's it. It's over for Taiwan.
Right.
There is another strategic aspects to all this as to why China wants to bring in Taiwan into the mainland, is also because it provides China a strategic objective into controlling sea routes, but also a string of islands from Aligapo in Japan all the way to Indonesia. So you can just see, and there's a lot of traffic that moves maritime that is moved through that area, and it will benefit, of course, with where China is economically. Mind you, that their GDP just went up by 18%. So you can just see where this is going. However, still the hard question that we're all wondering about is, will China invade Taiwan?
The consequences are dire, no matter how you look at it. Yeah. The short-term casualty is the Winter Olympics of 2022,
which is next year.
Is next year. Yeah. Will the entire world boycott if China invades Taiwan? Yeah. That's a real likelihood.
That's correct.
It's billions of dollars lost to People's Republic of China.
Yeah. The other question that many have asked is, well, how the Taiwanese will react after post-invasion?
Continuous insurrection,
Yeah.
and their geography lends itself to it, and they've got armaments that won't stop. So they're looking at a real sore spot for a long time, and China already has a number of sore spots.
That's correct. Yeah.
They don't need another one.
So I do not believe that China will want to go that route. But they were still going to push with the economic front. But should Taiwan declare independence, then that's going to put China that's going to put the question on the table. Are they going to follow through with the invasion as they said they will?
I have to ask the question of why are the Taiwanese people declaring this? It's a split.
50-50.
About 50-50. People say, well, we are part of China. We are Chinese. And the others say, no, we're Taiwanese. We want our own independence. So
Yeah.
it isn't an easy to resolve question.
Yeah. I do not see the independence happening, whether today, tomorrow, or the next 10 years. I just don't see that happening. The question will become only is whether China, as it rise to the global stage, will want to have this issue to be dealing with moving
Right.
forward. And that becomes the question of the day for us. So,
What would you say the takeaway is
well, it's just
for those of us who are sharing this program?
It's just the idea of China invading Taiwan. I don't think so. China will want to risk what's working for it right now, economically speaking, technologically speaking,
Right.
because an invasion of Taiwan is going to change the dynamics for China. China will have to reprioritize its priorities per se. So, and I don't see China doing this one at this time. So, for us, what it will mean, more intervention, more the U.S. seeking more sort of the supporting the Taiwanese by selling
Right.
weapons, which we already have enough issues to be dealing with here. Basically, that's the last tank we need.
Every show I have to laugh about. You make a statement that's like the understatement of the week. I used to say the understatement of the year, but this is the understatement of the week. We have enough issues to deal with here at home.
That's correct. So that's basically what will be the bottom line. So let us know your thoughts and your comments also. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always,
Stay informed.
till next time. Bye-bye.